Ladies and gentlemen, conference to be addressed by the Enugu ObiDatti coalition. Before you were members of that coalition, various ObiDatti support groups led by the convener, So,
all right, thank you very much. A communique issued at the International Press Conference of the Enugu ObiDatti Coalition titled "The Obedient Movement, A New Enugu is Possible," delivered by 2:40 p.m. on Thursday, March 16th, 2023, at the Top 10 International Hotel, Gulf Estates, Enugu. Preamble. Good day to the members of the press corps, representatives of P2B and Yusuf Datti support groups in Enugu State, representatives of the Labour Party Presidential Campaign Council, PCC, in Enugu State, members of the Labour Party in Enugu State, people listening online on various mainstream media and social media channels, the good people of Enugu State, home and abroad, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. This press briefing is being called by the Enugu ObiDatti Coalition, which is a coalition of P2B and Yusuf Datti support groups, and other well-meaning individuals in Enugu State. The coalition was behind the Enugu 1 million man fitness march for ObiDatti that took place on September 10th, 2022. It was also behind several ObiDatti medical empowerment and voter education outreaches that took place in many local government areas of Enugu State, as well as the Enugu State components of the 100 million man global march for ObiDatti that held on February 18, 2023. Introduction. The word obedient, which is a distinguished variant from the other word OBEDINT, first surfaced in the lexicon of Nigerians, home and abroad, sometime in 2022. The first three letters of the word obedient, which is often capitalized, indicate the personality behind the word. That personality is Obi Gregory Peter, a simple but astute businessman, cum public servant, with unrivaled pedigree. P2B represents a departure from the old Nigeria to a new Nigeria. Mr. P2B is a silent achiever and a disruptor. From his days in university as a philosophy undergraduate to his days as a young banker and chairman of boards of many multinational companies, P2B hit the public limelight in 2003 when he desired to become the definition of good governance in Anambra State without having a godfather. Many pundits and political actors then saw his desire of becoming a governor of the state as big and complex as Anambra State, without being in the ruling party or having the so-called political structure, as an unbelievable and an impossible journey. That desire, though tested through legal hurdles, became a reality 3 years after, in 2006, by landmark and unprecedented Supreme Court judgments. He still had to go through several legal processes and got outcomes that helped reshape Nigerians' political sphere. These ordeals showed P2B as a man with tenacity and a man who disrupted the status quo. Despite the distractions by litigations, elections, and impeachments, P2B set a verifiable record which has built a dedicated and unrelenting followership, becoming an increasingly formidable and expansive movement leading up to the 2023 general elections. This movement is known as the Obedient Movement, and its membership became known as the Obedience. The Obedient Movement. The Obedient Movement is organic. It started because a great man, a rare personality, a strange Nigerian, and a politician, Mr. Peter Obi. Strange because being in a country as tough, corrupt, and compromising as Nigeria, he has not only stayed on the principles of righteousness, but he has excelled both in family, business, politics, and leadership. Many of his kind choose to stay off politics for obvious reasons. For that, our nation has become overrun with dishonest leaders. No single individual or group can claim to have founded the obedient movement. It has become an ideology. In a Punch newspaper publication dated September 3, 2022, Peter Obi was stated to have defined the word ObiDient in a tweet, with O being organized, B being broad-based, I being inclusive, D being democratic, I being international, E being excellence-driven, N being Nigerians from every ethnic group, and T meaning transparency in governance. This definition, as captured by the principle of the obedient movement, is a good summary of the movement that has taken Nigeria and indeed Africa and the entire world by storm. The vehicle of the obedient movement, the Labour Party. The Obedients, we are grateful to the Labour Party, which gave Mr. Peter Obi their platform, despite having competent candidates already lined up to contest in her presidential primaries. With the emergence of Peter Obi as the presidential candidate of the Labour Party, slowly but steadily, the party began to gain massive support across the length and breadth of Nigeria and disrupting the established political status quo. Birthing of a new Nigeria. The presidential elections of February 25th, 2023 was supposed to be a date with history for the majority of Nigerians that would usher in a new Nigeria. Instead, it turned out to be a day of brazen abuse of executive power and disregard for the rule of law. The electoral umpire, the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, which appeared to be acting a script, hurriedly and without due process to the electoral laws, declared a winner. Instead of tears of joy flooding the streets and states of Nigeria, it was tears of sorrow and disbelief. The process of that general election has been described by several observers, both national and international, as below expectation. Following the election debacle, the grieving citizens of Nigeria, home and abroad, were holding their breath, waiting to hear the soothing words of their leader, the true unifier, the detribalized Nigerian, Mr. Peter Obi. He came out a few days afterwards to calm the nerves of the obedient and Nigerians. His address, which was watched live by millions of Nigerians, has helped avert unimaginable and unthinkable national, regional, and global crises, at least in the interim. He assured Nigerians that he would challenge the process of the elections in the courts and recover the mandates given to him by a majority of Nigerians. He also set the agenda for the ensuing gubernatorial and state House of Assembly elections. The birthing of a new Enugu. Nigeria is established as a federation of states, although far from the true intentions of the founding fathers. Governance of any state is fundamental to the overall success of the nation. Enugu, a former capital of the Eastern region, a citadel of learning for many Nigerians, especially those of the Igbo extraction, has in recent times yearned for a rebirth. The years of governance of the state by the People's Democratic Party, PDP, has left bitter tastes in the mouths of many state residents and dwellers. The ruling party conducted gubernatorial primaries, which was described by many as transactional, offered to the highest bidder or to those who the establishment supported. Honorable Barrister Chijioke Edoga was part of that infamous PDP gubernatorial primaries. but apparently could not withstand the power and the money play. While still recovering from the PDP primary saga, Barrister Honorable Chijioke Edoga, who put it on record that he received a call from Mr. Peter Obi to consider running for the governorship election under Labour Party. After some weeks of reluctance, he accepted and emerged as the gubernatorial candidate of the Labour Party. His emergence was not without legal tussles that reached the Supreme Court. A question worth asking is, why did Peter Obi specifically ask Honorable Barrister Chijioke Edoga, out of the many politicians, to join the Labour Party and contest to become the governor of Enugu State? What qualities did he see in Honorable Barrister Chijioke Edoga to risk identifying with and supporting him? The Enugu ObiDatti coalition considered and interrogated these questions as it pertains to the persons most suited to lead Enugu State into a new era. We came up with the following points. Point number one, the stand and the support of Mr. Peter Obi. The principle of the obedient movement, Peter Obi has stated in several fora that he is supporting Honorable Barrister Chijioke Edoga. Peter Obi asked Chijioke Edoga to run in Labour Party. The integrity and trustworthiness of Peter Obi is a big plus for Chijioke Edoga. Mr. Peter Obi has also promised to guide and mentor all persons who will be elected on the platform of the Labour Party. Point number two, the character of Honorable Barrister Chijioke Edoga. Prior to March 2023, there were no credible records to question the credibility of Honorable Barrister Chijioke Edoga. This is despite his over 2 decades of public service, a remarkable feat indeed. Same cannot be talked about when other candidates are brought into question. It was early this month of March that an infamous news outlet published allegations of fraud against him. Many consider the reports to be late in the day and politically motivated to tarnish the image of Honorable Barrister Chijioke Edoga. Point number three, the capacity, competence, and track records of Honorable Barrister Chijioke Edoga. Honorable Barrister Chijioke Edoga is a journalist, a lawyer, and a public servant. In the media world, he has distinguished himself and is currently on the editorial board of Daily Trust newspaper. His media prowess means that he has a good grasp of national issues and will be able to communicate his policies and agenda if or when elected as governor. Honorable Barrister Chijioke Edoga holds 2 degrees in law and had a stint in legal practice. This means that he will understand the rule of law. The rule of law is fundamental to good governance and is soothing to know that a governor-to-be understands and commits to it. As a public servant, he achieved remarkable feats in the local government as the local government chairman of Isiuzo in Enugu State, constructing and rehabilitating roads, clearing backlogs of old salaries that predated his administration, established major markets, and attracting other investments, all under 14 months. He went to the House of Reps and contributed to the landmark Freedom of Information Act. He became a spokesperson for the National Assembly, which popularized that office, and he executed several electrification projects in his constituency. As a 2-time commissioner in Enugu State, he demonstrated the commitment to better the lot of people of Enugu State, but it is a known thread that the appointed commissioners can only execute tasks they are allowed to by the chief executive of the state, which is the governor. Point number 4, the agenda and the plans of Honorable Barrister Chijioke Edoga is by far, Chijioke Edoga is by far the most grassroots-oriented gubernatorial candidate, going through ruling tours of more than 240 wards out of 260 wards in Enugu State. In each of the tours, he requested documented needs of the people, such that the manifesto will be a mixture of a bottom-to-top, and a top-to-bottom approach. He has details of the needs of Enugu in writing and has promised to meet them when elected. His 4-point agenda, which he has canvassed during his over 4-month world tours, and which he finally released to the public domain after several Twitter at violence-based appearances, is simple yet comprehensive. He has promised to pick from the ANIT agenda, which Mr. Peter Obi used to govern Anambra State when he was governor. The Enugu ObiDatti coalition has confirmed that Honorable Barrister Chijioke Edoga has studied the presidential manifesto of Peter Obi and Yusuf Baba Ahmed and is committed to adopting the key concepts applicable at the state level. Point number 5, the attacks against Honorable Barrister Chijioke Edoga. The spate of the often malicious attacks on the person and image of Honorable Barrister Chijioke Edoga has been vicious and unprecedented. There is a saying in Igbo land that it is only the ripe fruits that attract stones. These stones hurled at him is a pointer to his capacity to actually win. Honorable Barrister Chijioke Edoga is not perfect, just as our principal, Mr. Peter Obi, often says he is also not perfect. He has been unjustly and unfairly attacked. Point number 6, which is the last point, the sacrifices of Honorable Barrister Chijioke Edoga. The Enugu State ObiDatti coalition is aware of the numerous sacrifices Honorable Barrister Chijioke Edoga has made to ensure that a new Enugu is better. He has told of how he risked losing his life while aspiring for public office in years past. Despite not having a war chest, he has painstakingly built the structure of the Labour Party in Enugu State with obedience and for Ndi Enugu, home and abroad. In conclusion, how then can we turn our backs on a man who has done so much for this onerous task of taking back our country and our state, just based on false allegations from those who have seen the handwriting on the wall and have decided to sow seeds of discord among the Enugu? The Enugu ObiDatti coalition haven't given all to the betting of a new Nigeria through Mr. Peter Obi during these past few months, and having found Honorable Barrister Chijioke Edoga as credible, compassionate, competent, and prepared to work with Mr. Peter Obi, the Obedience and Labour Party, and lovers of Enugu State to bet a new Enugu, hereby fully endorse his candidature and will work for his victory, and will hold him accountable while he is in office if he wins by the grace of God. We therefore call on all obedience and the good people of Enugu State to stand with Mr. Peter Obi by standing with the Labour Party gubernatorial candidate, Honorable Barrister Chijioke Edoga, and holding him accountable while in office if elected. A new Enugu is possible too. Signed, Dr. Chima Emmanuel Edoga, the lead convener, Enugu ObiDatti Coalition, and also National Coordinator, Dr. Peter Obi. Comrade Wilfred, the Secretary of the Enugu ObiDatti Coalition from the New Nigeria Integrity Movement. Architect Eric Eyuche, the co-convener, Enugu ObiDatti Coalition from Peter Obi Support Network. Honorable John Chidi Uzoigwe, a co-convener, Enugu State ObiDatti Coalition from Like Mind for Peter Obi. Solomon Ugo Anekwe from the Save Nigeria Group USA Enugu chapter, who is also a co-convener, Enugu ObiDatti Coalition, and Honorable Chijioke Okonkwo, the convener, Enugu New Nigeria Integrity Movement, and also a co-convener of the Enugu ObiDatti Coalition. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen of the press. You can take a few questions for clarification. Thank you.
Your message is clear. Only important about 3 days ago. So we were faced with news material. press, in fact, man press from the beginning of those states. That ObiDatti, which are here to this kind of coalition, we lost the whether you have functions, groups, really, it's the same group.
Okay, we are aware of that endorsement, and that necessitated this press conference, or part of it necessitated this press conference. The Enugu ObiDatti coalition is not new to Enugu State. We, according to this press briefing, we were the ones that organized the 1 million man march that held last year, September. We organized several outreaches. We organized several voter education and empowerment programs. And then we organized the most recent march, which is the Enugu components of the 100 million man march that took place all over the world. So for a man like Comrade Yere Kennedy to surface from, I don't know where he surfaced from, and claim to be representing the obedient movement was very spurious. However, I want to point out that the obedient movement that he was referring to is not the obedient movement that we know. The obedient movement that we know is OBIDIENT. The one that he was talking about is OBEDIENT. So that movement is totally alien to us. And Mr. Peter Obi does not recognize that movement. So perhaps he is referring to another movement, but the movement we are referring to is the movement that was initiated by the person of Mr. Peter Obi. I think there are no factions in the Enugu State ObiDatti coalition. Thank you.
And I also think it's important to also add, just like the chairman has said, it's really unfair and mischievous for people who didn't believe in the vision of Peter Obi, people who never saw that this movement would lead anywhere. Just after the presidential election, because they saw the tsunami that swept the existing protocol of their feet. Everybody is now claiming obedience. For us, it's totally unacceptable. It is criminal, and should be condemned in strong terms. We don't know them. They were never on ground during all the struggles. People contributed money, to put up billboards, to go for door-to-door sensitization, promoting the candidacy of His Excellency Peter Obi. And from the blues, people come out to lay claim to the obedience movement. I think it's totally unacceptable by us. Thank you.
I have a question. Okay. Beyond what just happened in Irish, do you have any plan to be at the polling booths to also monitor the exercise?
Yes, that's a very good question. So there is a technical working group of the Enugu ObiDatti coalition, which has agents and volunteers spread across the different, the 17 local governments of Enugu State, the 260 wards, and the over 4,000 polling units in Enugu State. And the idea is for us to be on ground and be able to monitor the election process from the commencement to the declaration of the results. And we will be vigilant to ensure that sharp practices are not perpetuated and the wishes of the people of Enugu State are not thwarted in any way, means, or shape. So we are well prepared, and our volunteers are going to represent the coalition all over the state. Thank you. All right.
Can we put that in?
All right. So thank you very much. We'll just put the backdrop and conclude this press conference. Thank you. Stop the video. Now Zoom.